Bulls Nation, with a positive end to last week with that victory against the Sacramento Kings, we now turn to the Houston Rockets away from home as a good way to carry that momentum over. And ladies and gentlemen, did the Bulls ever do that in the best way possible? The Chicago Bulls carried that momentum over and picked up a very, very positive victory to kick off this, I guess, slight road trip. So without further ado, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls versus the Houston Rockets in this video. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show, and welcome back to another video. Today, we've got a Chicago Bulls versus Houston Rockets game reaction. Last week against the Sacramento Kings, the very end of that week, we ended things off very positively and on very good terms. And we turned to the Houston Rockets as that team that could definitely catch fire, a team that can definitely knock down threes, a team that is a banana skin game for any single team in the NBA. But the Chicago Bulls waltzed in there, dominated that game from start to finish, and walked away with yet another important victory. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. Let me know in the comments below who was your player of the game, as we actually have a good conversation to discuss about the player of the game for today. And let me know in the comments below overall what were your thoughts on today's game against the Houston Rockets. The score for this game in its entirety was 120-100. The Chicago Bulls in that third quarter took things up to another level that Houston Rockets simply could not defend. And in the end, we walked away with a very dominating victory against a side that, in my opinion, can set any team to cause any team trouble within their games, especially when they catch fire. But the Bulls didn't give them that chance. They had a few tough threes, the Houston Rockets, but the amount that they take, you expect them to make some tough threes. They're NBA athletes after all. They are a three-point shooting team. You expect them to make the tough shots, but the Bulls did very well, in my opinion, in stopping them from being in their offense, in their groove, and to shoot those three-point shots. And I thought we played our offense at an elite level, probably the most elite level I've seen all season. The fact that we got 100 points within the third quarter alone just says all you need to say. To get 100 points within the first three quarters, it shows how good that offense was today. And of course, in the fourth quarter, we played our reserves and they did have a slight comeback. It was originally a 30-point game after all. And the Bulls sealed it with a 20-point victory, bringing our starters back in, and we went to work. Now, this is a very good game for many reasons. One, we didn't need Zach LaVine to drop 40 for us to come close or even win this game. Two, we got so much help from our starters, especially the two players you expect help from in Kobe White and Wendell Carter Jr. Those two players had an elite game today, and it really helped the Bulls seal that victory way before we needed Zach LaVine to erupt for 40. Three, our bench was extremely positive. Our bench, Thaddeus Young, Garrett Temple, Satoransky, even Denzel Valentine, Archie Diacono, these players that played on that bench today brought a huge lift to the Chicago Bulls. And that ultimately was what got that victory. We dominated in every fashion in this game, and that is something that makes you happy. This is one of the most, I guess, elite performances that we've had. I wouldn't say this is the best victory, because we all know that the Houston Rockets are short-staffed. We all know the Houston Rockets have injuries. We all know Houston Rockets had to part ways with DeMarcus Cousins before this game. So they did come into this very weak. They didn't have Oladipo either. So I understand where the Houston Rockets are coming from and why this game was a struggle for them. But you can't take away this victory for the Bulls, because we brought our offense to them. And I think with Oladipo, and maybe with DeMarcus Cousins in that team, we would still win that game just based on how elite our offense was alone. But again, that is something we simply cannot ignore. There were big performances from our best players today. And granted, we are also a team that has those injuries on our belt as well. We do have major injuries to this team that affects the way that we play. So fair enough for the Chicago Bulls. We did a very good thing here, and we've carried on a very strong performance from last week into this week. We won 4 of our last 5 games. We're on a good winning streak. Well, I guess we're on a good winning ways. We found some very good victories in this week. We beat a very good Indiana Pacers team. We beat the Sacramento Kings that beat us before. We also beat the Detroit Pistons coming back. So at the end of the day, not the best of the best teams. Indiana's an elite team, of course. But still, we've managed to find ways to get these victories and to keep our winning streak and to keep us going for that 500 spot, for that playoff position. And we're getting closer and closer and closer. And if we keep playing this way, we will eventually get there. So I'm very happy with the Chicago Bulls. This is the last time we will face the Houston Rockets, and we end this series sweeping the Houston Rockets 2-0. We will not verse the Houston Rockets again. And again, we did what we were supposed to do. Both times we versed the Houston Rockets, they had injuries, and both times the Bulls capitalized on those injuries. So fair play to the Chicago Bulls. Let's go to the individual performers. And again, we have a lot of players to talk about in this game, and we also have a few discussions on who you think is the player of the game for today. So, first things first, we always like to talk about the young rookie, and that's what I'm going to talk about first. 14 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist for the rookie today. Again, I think this is a good game from Patrick Williams. He's finding his way on that rebounding end and the defense as well. So, usually at the beginning of the season, we only saw around 3 rebounds, 2 rebounds from Patrick Williams. I think more often now, we are seeing elite rebounding from that forward position, especially Patrick Williams. With 7 rebounds, sometimes he gets double-digit rebounds now. He's finding his way in those areas, which is great. It's getting a confidence in himself. And he was aggressive today in his shot. A few 3-point shots made today, a few mid-range shots today, and he got a dunk as well. He played very, very well. He played within himself, and I thought he was a big part, in my opinion, of why we won this game. And again, it's a very silent type of game for him in terms of that, because again, so many players had so many great stats in this game. But I thought he was a big part of how we played, and that cannot be ignored. He's a starter for a reason, and he's really providing us some good offense and defense in that forward position, especially the small forward position where we do seem to be lacking at this time. Garrett Temple, 9 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. Solid night from Garrett Temple. That's all I can really say. He's a solid veteran, and he had a solid night, and he always helps the Bulls when he plays well. And this was another game that he played well, and the Bulls ended up benefiting from that. I usually don't see 4 assists from Garrett Temple, but he did share the ball very well today. So that's something else that we could also give a lot of praise to. Let's move into some of the better players of today. Let's move into in my opinion, 3 out of the 4 contenders for player of the game I'm going to be talking about within these next few ones. So, Wendell Carter, 18 points, 13 rebounds, 1 assist, and I believe he had 3 blocks in today's game. That is astronomical performance from Wendell Carter. And again, this is what I've been saying for a long time now, and I think more people are going to start to see it over time. When teams that play small ball against the Chicago Bulls, Wendell Carter should be having a good game more often than not. And this is just another example of, one, his confidence, scoring 18 points, and most of them were in the paint, crashing the paint, dominating the boards, and getting layups. That's what you want to see from Wendell Carter, especially when the team's playing small ball against you. 2, this is this thing I've been saying the whole time. Teams against the Warriors as well, when they played small ball, he plays well. It's not just a confidence thing. He plays well against teams that play small ball. And obviously, number 3, he's a very important player to this team. This is the 5th game that he's come back, and we've won 4 out of the last 5. Now, I'm not saying that's all Wendell Carter. Absolutely not. There has to be more credit goes to everybody else as well. But it just shows that we've been missing a vital piece of this team, and we need him to keep playing at this level. Look, 18 points for Wendell Carter is always a fantastic night when he gets those amounts of points. I'm not expecting 18 points per game for Wendell Carter every single game, but I want him to be confident. I want him to crash that paint. I want him to score within himself. That's what I want to see. I want him to be confident within himself, and that's how he gets his better games. And this is definitely a game where he should be looking at and should be very proud with the way that he's played. Fair play to Wendell Carter. Obviously, there's no player of the game talk without Zach LaVine, but Zach LaVine only had 21 points tonight, 5 rebounds and 6 assists. Playmaking-wise was elite from Zach LaVine today. I believe he had the most assists on the team, so he definitely got his teammates involved. Not only that, we did not need him to blow up for 40 points today. This game was done in the 3rd quarter. This game was done and wrapped up in the 3rd quarter, and Zach LaVine did not need to go crazy for us to get close to this game. That's what you want to see. You want to see more help when it comes to the Chicago Bulls. And every single person I'm talking about here made a massive contribution to this game. It was a team effort for this victory. Zach LaVine can get us 40 points and we can win that game. But the positive thing is we didn't need that from him. And again, he's playing at an all-star level. Today, he was playing at an all-star level. Just because he didn't get the 28 points per game that he's been averaging doesn't necessarily mean that's not an all-star level. He got 6 assists in today's game. very few minutes played. I don't think he played as much minutes as everybody else on this team. He definitely had a lot of rest, and this is good. We need Zach LaVine to have rest. At the end of the day, it's a long, long season. Having Zach LaVine play so many minutes could definitely be a wear and tear on his body. So getting a good amount of rest for Zach LaVine is also very, very good. And he played and he got his numbers up at the end of the day as well. Good game from Zach LaVine. Kobe White. I'm so happy with Kobe White today's game. 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists. Played as, he plays as an off-ball guard these days. I know that the technical stance of him is a point guard. That's technically his position when you see the starting lineup. But I'm seeing more and more every game, Zach LaVine being the point guard and Kobe White being the shooting guard. It's almost like their roles have reversed, and it's allowing Kobe White to become that scoring guard that we all know he can be. 24 points today, and he didn't really play in one of the quarters. He had concussion protocol or something like that. Hit his head. First of all, he got elbowed by John Wall, and then he got his back of his head hit on the the NBA. I don't know what it's called, but you know, he got hit in the head pretty much, and he was out for a lot of that quarter. So at the end of the day, Kobe White, only 24 points. I know he played 31 minutes today, but he did very, very well. And again, it makes me smile. A double-double for Kobe White. We don't see many of those these days. And he's playing with extreme confidence in this game. And nearly every shot that I saw today from him was a bucket. And he is a bucket when he wants to be. And that confidence here, if he can keep this up, the Bulls will win a lot more games than we lose. Because when Kobe White plays well, we will win games. There's not really that much more to discuss with Kobe White. When he plays well, we will win games. Doesn't mean if he doesn't play well, we will lose. But more often than not, when you have Zach LaVine and Kobe White firing on all cylinders, the Bulls will win games. That's the backcourt that we have. That's the potential of this backcourt. When they're both firing, when they're both playing well, the Bulls will win. And that's what you like to see. And it also helps when you have someone like Satoransky on the bench. 10 points and 4 assists for today for Satoransky. I think he's helped Kobe White tremendously. One, he's able to play with Kobe White. So Kobe White can more often than not come on with this bench mob and be the shooting guard. And to be that player to get those buckets off of the second unit, as well as playing in the first unit as well. Massive help. Satoransky has helped Kobe White's game so much. And it makes you believe when we eventually hopefully go after Lonzo Ball, or maybe if Lonzo Ball does come to this team, or any playmaking guard comes to this team, Kobe White will be helped from that. I've been saying this for a long time. Kobe White getting another point guard into this team will not affect Kobe White's game. It will not ruin his confidence. It will not ruin his potential, because he has the potential to be a fantastic scoring guard. He also has the potential to be a point guard at times. This is what we can do for Kobe White. When we are able to look and pursue for other point guards, this will not affect Kobe White. It will not affect Zach LaVine. That's the best part about this. And that's what I've been telling people, and hopefully more people will see it over time. It will not affect Kobe White's game if we get another point guard into this team. It's as simple as that. Satoransky's helped him 10 times over, and now we're seeing that. And of course, another player of the game candidate, the last player that I'll be talking about, Thaddeus Young, 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. Near triple-double once again for Thaddeus Young. 5 assists, wow, 17 points. I mean, for a player off of the bench, this is a very strong performance. And once again, he's definitely in contention for player of the game. I'm going to have a hard time picking this because I don't really know who to give it to. I really don't know who to give it to. But before we go into that, that's the box score. That's the players. That's the stats. The two, I think there are 3 other players that played today. Arcidiacono, Denzel Valentine, and Daniel Gafford only played like a minute or so. So that's the team. That's the team that played for the Chicago Bulls. Talk about the must improve. When you win by 20 points, I understand that we all can target players. There are obviously the players I didn't mention. They had worse games than the rest. But I don't want to target anybody for must improve, because when the Bulls win by 20 points and when the Bulls dominate in the fashion that they are, I think everybody contributes in their own way. And I don't feel like it's important to be targeting players the way that we should when the team performs the way that they did and when we win by the way that we do. So I'm not going to give a must improve. And again, you've seen that a lot out of me in most games. When the Bulls play well, I don't like to target them. I don't like to target individual players when we play so well as a team, because again, people will have bad nights, but it's not going to be a situation where when we win by 20, I need to call people out. I don't need to do that, and I'm not going to do that for the sake of this video. The player of the game, I want to give a shout out to everybody that's in contention. I want to give a shout out to Wendell, a shout out to Zach LaVine, a shout out to Kobe White, and a shout out to Thaddeus Young. But I'm going to give my player of the game to Wendell Carter Jr. And this could be a sentimental pick, to be honest, because this guy came back, and in his last 5 games, he has helped the Bulls win 4 of those games. And of course, Joel Embiid put a 50-point monster performance on him, and that's what Joel Embiid does. But Wendell Carter, you cannot say, has been playing poorly at all for the Chicago Bulls. And again, this is another game where I thought he was extremely important. When they played small against us, Thaddeus Young and Wendell Carter were the 2 players to take advantage of that 10 times over, better than anybody else on this team. We took advantage of those. Kobe White had a great game. Kobe White was scoring an elite level, and he was crashing the boards, and Kobe White deserves a lot of praise. But in my opinion, if I had to pick 2 player of the games, it would have been Wendell and Thaddeus Young, because they were the ones that really brought the key to this victory in the grasp of our hands. They were the ones that took advantage of the team. They were the ones that was the most important. They were the most valuable players in today's game, because the small ball offense and the small ball defense of the Houston Rockets was simply not good enough for Wendell Carter, for Thaddeus Young. Zach LaVine and Kobe get these numbers, it's expected. But Wendell Carter and Thaddeus Young taking advantage of the Houston Rockets' weaknesses is exactly what brought this victory to our hands. And that's what I believe deserves praise. So I'm going to give it to Wendell Carter because I thought he had an elite game and he just came back. I think he deserves this one. The Bulls' record is 14-16, 2 games away from 500 now, and we do have some winnable games coming up before, obviously, the halfway point of this season. And of course, with those winnable games, the next one for the Chicago Bulls is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, this game is winnable. I just said that, and of course it is. But this is a team that we should not take lightly. Because at the end of the day, the Timberwolves like to stay close in a lot of these games because they have offensive talent. They're able to score. And it doesn't matter if D'Angelo Russell's in this game or out this game, they know how to score the ball. So the Bulls need to be very wary of that. It's very similar to this Houston Rockets team. We need to be very wary of the team that can score the ball. We need to match them in scoring, and our defense needs to do the rest. We need to play very good defense like we did in that 3rd quarter in this game against the Houston Rockets. A historic 3rd quarter against the Houston Rockets, by the way. So that is what you like to see for the Chicago Bulls, and hopefully we carry that over for 4 quarters against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we can pick up a victory there. It's a game that should not be taken lightly, but it's also a game that the Bulls are expected to win. And these are the games we need to take advantage of. Teams that are not on our level at the moment, teams that we should walk in and beat. They also have a new head coach, so they'll be very ready for this game. So it's up to the Bulls to try and counteract all the positive things. With that coach firing and hiring, players like to step up for their coach. It's time for the Bulls to try and shut that down quickly and get a victory on their side and walk away from that one with another positive victory in their hands. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Hopefully you enjoyed the video regardless. Just hope you enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. The next one I'm going to have to make a little bit later probably, because tomorrow we'll find out if Zach LaVine's going to be an all-star or not. And I'm really hoping that the NBA has not let Zach LaVine down this year, because last year he should have been an all-star and they let him down. This year has to be a different story, and hopefully Zach LaVine will be an all-star this season. So many people deserve it, but no one deserves it more, in my opinion, than Zach LaVine. Let's get him in that all-star game. Hopefully tomorrow we'll find out that good news and we can discuss it in a YouTube video. Take care and peace.